Hey folks, welcome back to Maypole Farm. It is the next day. It is raining. It is due to be raining all day. Now, on the off chance that it stops, we're going to persevere with the day. If not, I'm just going to be doing some jobs, I think. Now, ideally, I need to get some planting done. We need to get the cover crop in the oat field. But I think planting that in the rain will be a challenge, not an opportunity. The other challenge we're going to have is getting this trailer out of the farm in the rain, because I have still not added variable tire pressure to the truck. So we're going to have to loop all the way around. So this might be a video of me just randomly driving around the map while we ramble. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see how we get on. I've fed the cows. I am somewhat behind on my YouTube comments. So if you have commented suggesting a mod to help with me not knowing the state of the food, then thank you. I have not seen it at this point, but I have added the recently released livestock monitor, and that will give me a notification every hour on the status of the pens. So I should learn if we're running out of food, which is kind of handy. It does tell me that the pens are low, or tells me gives me some sort of warning kind of all of the time, which is annoying. Annoying is the word that we're going to go with. Did I update this trailer and remove its ability to transport milk? That's entirely possible. Uno momento, folks. Uno momento. Let's do a P. Not that kind of P. Let's go into barrels. And yes, I did. That's very annoying. It's very annoying. Let's save the game. Save the game, folks. And let's. Okay, well, assuming I've done that right, and that is a big assumption. You know what happens when you assume? Yep, you make an arse out of you and me. Yay! Now, we don't have that much milk, but it's something to do, you know. And if it stays like this, we might do some forestry. We might not, because I don't fancy plugging in the controller. I really don't fancy just skipping the day. It feels like a bit of a waste. It's like a prime summer day in the UK. Can you tell? Can you tell it's a prime summer day? I was so tempted not to record any videos today. So I am, for a change, on a Monday evening in a cheap hotel. And there is no air conditioning. And it is currently about 32 degrees Celsius in the UK. Now, in freedom units in America, I think that's about 72 eagles. Not eagles, the person who watches the channel of the Eagles That Fly, or 854 beavers. And what that means is it's uncomfortably freaking hot. So there's no air conditioning. I walked into the room, not even the fan was switched on. Now all the fan is on. All it's doing is stirring around the soupy, humid, hot air. I don't care if you don't think it's hot. You are more than welcome, dear American, in your probably air-conditioned house to come visit and see how hot it is. I watch an American creator whose most of their content is kind of podcast-like. And recently they've been taking great pleasure in saying about how hot it really isn't in the UK from their air-conditioned house. And I kind of feel like saying, well, turn your air conditioning off, wrap your house in a big old blanket, put a few buckets of water around just to push that humidity up, and then tell me it's nice and comfortable still. You know? So my office today at work pretty much hit 30 degrees before I left. Because my office doesn't have air conditioning yet. I think it's supposed to get it. But currently, it doesn't have air conditioning. Yeah, I work for a technology company where the offices don't have air conditioning. Ain't it great? Honestly, it's so uncomfortable in this room. It is so uncomfortable. But equally, the YouTube machine don't stop. Let's just check on the corn. What are we at? Growth state 4. I think 5 is the point we can chop, but I'm not certain. Not certain by a long way. So yeah, we'll leave it probably another month. Yeah, so it's at that point of the year where it's just grim. Anyone that says global warming doesn't exist, stuff it up your arse, unless you enjoy that kind of thing. You know, because the climate is definitely very different here. The climate is definitely very different here. You know, it's not just a few warm days. We are on what, our 4th heat wave in the UK this year, I think, which is just stupid. You know, it's just stupid. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just in a bad mood, I think, today. I'm just in a bad mood today. It was a long day at work. Some things went wrong at work, which made it longer than it should have been. I've just crashed again. We're going to fix that the easy way. Yeah, it was a longer day at work than it should have been. It was a more stressful day at work than it should have been because someone else kind of screwed something up. Yeah, I know. I did have a read. Let's focus on the positive, folks. Positive affirmations and all that bollocks. I had a really good gym session after work for the 2nd week in a row. Let's ignore the fact that I'm finding it really difficult to have the energy to go running at the moment. And on top of that, I've had now since Friday a really good run of consistent eating and healthy eating, which is cool. And you're probably not tuned in to hear me talk about exercise and food. You're here to watch me play adult coloring, but fuck it. This is what you're getting, you know? So yeah, I decided, I was on the really long work trip that I was on. I got really fed up of eating hotel food. And now on some of the really long trips, I can't do anything about that because, well, I can, but it's harder. It's harder to take enough food away and be able to store that food. Because it's hot. Did I mention it was hot? We made 23 grand. Nice. Anyway, because I'm only away for an night, and work has fridges, and kitchens with limited facilities, but it has kitchens. I have brought with me enough food to sustain me for the 2 days. Which means I don't need to live on junk food and, you know, takeaway food and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that with a bit of time of eating more gooder, eating more goodily, how about that for some proper pucker English? I'll start to feel better. Look, see, it says the 2 cow barns are struggling. Now, if we go and look, let's have a look at this mod. It's quite an interesting mod. So it tells me food running low. Now, if you look at the food, it tells us that actually it's at like 70%. So if we explore further, I think it's because we have parallel feeding going on, and some of the protein group, which only needs 5%, is down really low. So I think that's why it's telling me that. But it's actually fine. But what it will tell me is when they run out. So that's kind of handy. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. So I brought food, but the enabler for that was buying all the tubs and stuff I needed to actually be able to carry that food with me. And leaving the house this morning, I essentially had an entire carrier bag full of tubs of food. And when I got to work, I like half filled one of our fridges with tubs of food, because I had breakfast for 2 days, lunch for 2 days, dinner for tonight. But means I can eat more better, which is a good thing, particularly if it means I end up feeling less shit when I'm traveling, because I'm kind of fed up of that, to be honest. I'm kind of fed up in general. Now, I think there's a big element of being somewhat burnt out. And by somewhat, I mean very, very burnt out. So that's like a neurodivergent burnout kind of thing. I didn't add the slurries and stuff. Oh well, that'll be a job for another day. Let's park the tanker up, and I wonder if we can travel in the field. Let's have a look. And let's have a look at Cedar, shall we? So, yeah. When I was editing the XML, I did look at it and think, I'm sure I added more than just milk last time. And the answer was, I did add more than just milk last time. But, Lavy, folks. Lavy. It'll be okay. So we're going to pull up just here. And let's have a look in the old sales first. Now, I'm not going to buy one of these. We use it so much, but it just feels like if we're going to invest, let's invest in something quality, like a Ford. No. What I'd really like is a Cocklinger jockey, but I don't think I have that installed. So let's check. Cedar, etc. No. Hey, we could buy some of the Sky stuff. No, because I'm not a freaking masochist. All right. Right. We're back again, and I have installed the Cocklinger because it's funny to say, and it's actually quite a good piece of kit. So I don't know if this is if the ground's actually going to let us travel. But we're going to give it a go. Flotation Pros, they sound kind of wide. We've got the money to buy this straight out, so that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to give it a go. And I guess we'll see. This is going to be a short video, folks. This is going to be a shorter video. I think if we can get this job done, I'm going to call it an day. Now, do we have seed down here? That looks like seed to me. Can I get to it? Probably. Right. If only we had some way of picking up the seed. Right. First things first. Let's move the front mower. And then we'll grab the pallet forks. You go that way. So, we've had some good news this week. We've got 2 front mowers. I need to sell one of those. Had some good news this weekend, folks. Which I assume most of you are, well, maybe not. So it was FarmCon this weekend. I suspect some of you might have been there. I don't know, though. Maybe some of the diehards may have travelled to FarmCon, but it was FarmCon. I've not followed the stuff that came out of it in great detail, but what I did see, which was of particular interest to me, because, you know, I like that pimping lifestyle, was that Pumps and Hoses is coming to FS25, and it's coming for free next month, which is pretty darn awesome. So yeah, Creative Mesh. I saw it on Creative Mesh's Facebook page, I think. But I think that's pretty darn cool because it was a really fun addition to the game. It was a very, I think for it like a standalone DLC, it wasn't cheap. I was very lucky that one of you guys brought it for me. And so I didn't pay any money for it. It was before I was a bronze level Giants partner, and I got stuff like that to test as part of that. But one of you did buy me a copy so that I could have access to it and have a play with it, which I'm very grateful for. And yeah, I really enjoyed playing with it. So I think it was probably one of my favorite DLCs. And I'm really looking forward to it being, I'm going to grab the thumbnail now. So let's do that. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it coming back to the game. And I know I've spoken about it a few times. Because it was one of my favorite DLCs. I really enjoyed doing, you know, we did on the French map that I played on PlayStation and then moved across to PC, which I've forgotten. But I did the thing where I basically pumped slurry all the way across the map, pretty much. You know, and that was really good fun. For me, I really enjoyed it. You might not have, but I really did. And yeah, it was just I think if you're doing bigger farming, it's a really fun way of making use of that stuff, particularly if you're doing bigger scale farming, but you're not doing stuff that's a really long way from the farm. So you've got access to a large supply of stuff, but you've not got to run out, you know, kilometers and kilometers of pipe, because laying pipe, you can laugh at that one, is kind of frustrating sometimes. But yeah, so I am really looking forward to that coming to the game and getting to play with that. That should be fun. I know it looks like they did a whole load of stuff on the last part of the season pass, you know, the map, the coffee stuff like that. I didn't look at any of that in particular for two reasons. One, I'm not super hyped about it, and B, I was exhausted this weekend from a very busy week traveling, and I ended up having to spend Sunday evening, when I might have spent some time looking at it, helping the teenager because she's reorganizing her bedroom, and that's just a disorganized, utter chaos fest at the moment. Our house ended up looking like an Amazon delivery depot for 3 days. Because in the sensible order of things, she ordered everything before she'd actually sorted out and considered having space to put it all in her room. So, yeah, that was kind of frustrating for Mrs. D and I, as we were struggling our way around giant boxes of flat pack and not so flat packed furniture. Yeah, because her grandmother or great grandmother brought her a whole load of furniture to sort out her bedroom. And the first I knew about it was all these boxes turning up. Yeah, anyway. Hopefully by the time I get home, more of it will be sorted. We were out again on Friday night at another music thing. We don't have any plan for this weekend. It just so happened that we ended up with 2 in a row. And it was pretty darn cool. We did a meet and greet with an artist that we both really enjoy. It was the artist that kind of started our going to live music together. And it was kind of cool because it was a meet and greet. You got to meet them, a pitch taken. There was some other stuff going on as well. And it was kind of cool to tell them that, because before we found our mutual love of similar music, the teenager and I didn't really do anything together. It was kind of a typical two neurodivergent people who don't really have a lot in common type relationship, or who thought we didn't have, and it turns out we did. And it's really helped our relationship in a lot of other ways as well, because we found we have a lot more in common, and so it was kind of cool to be able to meet this artist and tell them, that thanks to you, we now have as dad and daughter, we now have a much better relationship. Yeah, that was kind of cool. And you might be sitting there saying, well, why as a dad and daughter did you not have a brilliant relationship? And yeah, it's just kind of been a feature of things as two people who are not great at communicating. It's a feature of how we both are. It's not that we didn't like each other, don't like each other, have ever not liked each other, don't love each other. So I think you all know that she's actually not my biological daughter. That makes zero difference to both of us. Her donor is not part of her life, and yes, that's how we think of him. He walked out of their lives when she was about 3 years old. He is just the donor. But we've had as two people who struggle with human interaction and communication, it's been a complicated relationship. But yeah, we've, kind of a mutual love of the same kind of music has really helped with that. So it was kind of cool to get to tell one of the people that's helped with that they've helped with that. And as always, I'm being vague because I don't like to tell people the kind of live things that we go to, because I'm a bit of a private person with that kind of thing. But yeah, it was a really fun night, and we didn't get back at like 1 in the morning, unlike the week before, which was kind of nice. We're still like 11:30, and by the time I got to bed, it was actually 1 in the morning. But you know, it wasn't quite as bad as the week before. So it was basically a little bit closer to time, and it finished a little bit earlier. Yeah, it was good fun though. It was good fun. And I was going to say we have a bit of a gap now, but we only have a few weeks until the next one. But that's in the middle of a family holiday. So a family holiday that we planned around the fact that we're going to a live music event. So, but hey, doesn't everyone do that? Yeah. Should be another fun one. Should be another fun one. We are hoping, don't judge. So the teenager does have some other complications on top of the brain ones. And we've been trying to sort out a disability access card to help with that. And we're hoping to get that sorted beforehand, because this is a slightly bigger thing, so that we don't have to, hopefully don't have to spend quite so long queuing, because that does cause her problems. But the people that manage that are a bit of a pain. They're kind of gatekeepy. Now, I can understand why, because it does give you some nice benefits, but, you know, getting it's a bit of a pain, but it's justified. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we are making reasonable progress through this. Now, yeah, planting in the rain, realistic? Probably not, but it's farm sim. Why am I doing it? So we had oats in the field. We're going into wheat. We have a cover crop between them. And if we look at the calendar, we need to be planting the wheat in September. So we need a little bit of time for the OSR to grow. So we basically need to get it planted this month, because if we don't, then it won't have done its job. So yeah, that's why. Basically, we're following the plan that we set out quite a long time ago. And in September, we will be doing the things that we need to do to make the field more gooder. In this case, it's just chuck the OSR in and leave it at that, pretty much. I could do with it not being so shit weather, so that we can do other things. But yeah, I'm going to finish planting this, and I am going to knock it on the head, because it feels like I'm sat in a freaking sauna, to be honest. And I don't know what I'm going to do instead of doing this, but it's kind of hard to do this. So I think my brain has had enough for today. It feels like I've rambled a whole load of utter bollocks for the last however long I've been playing and talking to you guys. So some of you will have enjoyed that. I know, because in these videos I tend to ramble utter bollocks for however long. So yeah. I hope you have enjoyed today's session of I Ramble. And we'll be back next time for more rambling, and hopefully we'll actually make some progress. If it's going to rain all the way through the day, I might just skip to next month, and we'll do something more productive, and it probably means August is just going to be hectic. But It's kind of limited on what we can get done if it is just going to be raining the whole time. So yeah. Anyway, thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. Appreciate you guys supporting whatever the heck this has been. And I'll see you all next time for hopefully me not sweating my off.